I am a person who's like willing to get embarrassed. Like I use this to my advantage because by knowing the fact that I'll embarrass myself, I know this will differentiate me above other people because other people are not willing to take the risk and embarrass themselves. And especially on social media, like embarrassment is like the cost of entry. And while all my peers were off getting internships from like, I guess like either from nepotism, outreach, and then whatever source, I just like sat there and played Brawl Stars and Clash Royale like a bum. So I was like, how do I go find these opportunities? And
Does LinkedIn get you rizz?
oh well, of course not. Like, dude, if it did, I'd probably be spending 2,000 hours on this platform.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Gen Z Fast Lane. Today we have Wilman Chan here, a LinkedIn online creator, number one in Taiwan, actually. 22,000 followers. He built his personal brand in literally like less than 11 months. So, Wilman, why don't you take it away and tell us a bit about yourself?
Oh yeah, thank you, Vasco, for the intro. Uh, yeah, for those of you who are watching this podcast, my name is Wilman. I am currently a high school senior, based in Taiwan, and for the past year, I've spent more than 1,000 hours on LinkedIn. So I've been talking to a lot of people, and I also do a lot of like content creation and personal branding stuff. Uh, yeah, so let's get started.
Yes, sir. So, just to put things into context, if we just trace back all the way to the beginning, like before all of this LinkedIn crazy blow up, I remember for me personally, I started posting on LinkedIn because I was trying to run a marketing agency and I wanted to build credibility with this platform. So my first question is, what really motivated you to get started with this LinkedIn grind?
I would say there's like a combination of three things that brought me onto LinkedIn. So the first thing would be like the fact that I had a fear of being alone. Like that sounds very like weird, but as someone who's going to the States for college, I knew like absolutely no one in the States. So I was like, hey, if I want to actually be established, if I actually want to like sustain myself in the States, like without like my family and friends in Asia, I'll have to build my own network. So that was a realization that I had to like do it myself. And the second one was a part of like me doing Instagram content creation. I posted some series stuff. I posted about oh like road to making 5K a month as a high schooler. I think everyone does has a phase of like doing that. And as well as like I saw LinkedIn as a perfect opportunity to combine like a sort of Instagram personal branding as well as like pre-professional like opportunities. So like personal and pre-professional, like LinkedIn was a platform that combined those two the best, and that's why I kind of chose to pursue content creation within LinkedIn. I think it was a relatively unconventional route to take at the time, but I think it's been throughout this year, it's been proven that it actually does work and it has some crazy, crazy long-term potential that we'll get into like further down in the video. But I guess to like wrap things all up for why I started, it'll just be like to make sure I'd survive in the States.
Hmm. Yeah, super interesting because we can see right now, like if we just jump straight into the current status of LinkedIn, since you're basically like the LinkedIn master, so many people are trying to get into this personal branding space, right? We see like even my entire feed is just filled with new people posting about their lives and posting about this, posting about that. So, what is even personal branding to begin with, and why do you need personal branding? And is people just blindly posting about their lives? Like, is that really such a high barrier? Like, what's the entire point of this?
Uh, yeah, so with uh AI advancing, like the technical moat is like decreasing at like a rapid pace. People are able to pump out ideas like super, super fast, and they're like you don't need to have some crazy degree or education in order to build like a viable product that helps people. So when there are so many products on the market, the key thing is like, oh, how do you differentiate yourself when everyone is the same? So that was where I got the fact that distribution is like the next like advantage that we can truly have. And for me, I've always like throughout high school, like early days of high school, I had like no opportunities. So like no internships, no nothing. And while all my peers were off getting internships from like I guess like either from nepotism, outreach, and then whatever source, I just like sat there and played Brawl Stars and Clash Royale like a bum. So I was like, how do I go find these opportunities? And as someone who's like pretty lazy sometimes, I thought about it the other way. I'm like, how do I make internship opportunities come to me instead? Right?
Mm.
Like if people spend so much time building towards like just doing outreach, then I want to find a way in order for the opportunities to come to me instead. So that was when I realized that all these creators were getting so many brand deal sponsorships, and it seemed that everyone who had a strong uh social like had strong visibility online would be getting these opportunities. So that was when I started doing Instagram and LinkedIn content creation. I eventually just like cut down into LinkedIn because I saw more like longevity and it was also easy for me to do. But in essence, I realized that with there being so many people out here, I really need to stand out and build an online brand in order for like opportunities to come find me in the future.
Cool. Yeah, and I heard that there have been definitely like multiple different companies who reach out to you and talked about how they have like different job offerings. And I was just wondering if we just spill the beans here, as you want to get deep in this podcast. Like we don't want to hide any or gatekeep any information. What are some of your content strategies? Like you would say like specific like niche content strategies that you would personally use or you just like using yourself?
Mm, I think nobody has the exact same content strategy. Like in the name itself, personal branding is personal. Like the reason why people stand out is because everyone has their own set of own experiences, and no one can replace that. Uh, and that's what makes personal branding like super unique. In terms of like content strategy, it's really all about how you play to your strengths and use the cards that you have. Like some things you just can't change. For example, I'm based in Taiwan, and I don't have like media access like startup environment in SF or New York. So I really have to play to the fact that I'm still young, like relatively young, I would say, and I have like strong willingness to learn, and I have also a strong sense of what like Gen Z media is like and what Gen Z people would want. And this is something that some older people on the platform like may not have because they just haven't consumed as much Gen Z media as I have. So my content strategy revolves around the fact that I am a person who's like willing to get embarrassed. Like I use this to my advantage because by knowing the fact that I'll embarrass myself, I know this will differentiate me above other people because other people are not willing to take the risk and embarrass themselves. And especially on social media, like embarrassment is like the cost of entry. Like with internet and everything these days, everything is like free. So it's like your own reputation and embarrassment that like bars people from entering. And I think I was very willing to take the first step because I had such a strong drive and passion to like find people in the States as well as there's this very strong like intrinsic passion to like be great. Like whether it be great at sports, whether it be great at like content, I just like wanted to be great at something. So whatever content like strategy like each person has is drastically different and they all like play to the person's like strengths the most. And if you obviously, for example, people who have like crazy media production teams will play to their strengths and pump out super high quality reels and edits. But if you don't have that and you have some like crazy life story, then you should also use that in order to like capture attention. So I truly think there's no one one strategy that fits like everyone, and everyone really has to like adapt and figure it out based off of like their strengths.
Yeah, I really like your point on how you talked about like it's finding about your uniqueness, right? Like you're Taiwan and you're pretty young founder. Like not really a lot of people are doing that, or barely like anyone you probably know from Taiwan in high school, in your school, are doing the same thing. So just finding something unique. And I also came to realize that from outreaching to so many adults, they're more than happy to actually talk with young people. Like if you hit them up and they're like, like way older than you and they see that you're trying to put effort into something, they're most likely going to respond to you if they have time, or you just have to continue shooting your shot until you make it. So I was just wondering, like with your 1000 plus hours on LinkedIn in general, like how much does posting every single day actually matter? Like, you know how a lot of LinkedIn influencers, they talk about in order to grow your personal brand, you need to be consistent. You need to start commenting and everything. But recently I saw that, since we're all busy with college apps and things like that, like impressions and posts are going down. So, like, does posting every single day actually matter?
Uh, I think posting every day with quality definitely does matter. But I would say a lot of people tend to like be fixated on the fact that you have to like post, uh, and they end up posting a bunch of like garbage, which kind of like defeats the entire purpose and like does more harm than good. So posting every day is a great way to build discipline and consistency only if you have the value to provide. And as Bosco mentioned, like we are all in the phase of like college apps. Everyone is super busy and not a lot of people have a crazy amount of time to invest. So what I tell like my students and people who ask me questions is find your end goal first. Like for example, there are so many things you can do on LinkedIn and no one can do them all. So you really have to find like what your end goal is and then reverse engineer the steps that are most optimal to achieve your goal. So for example, some people can have like crazy networks without posting because all they do is cold DMs and like commenting. So it really, really depends on what your goal is. And once you have a really clear end goal, you're able to like dissect it and find the different like pillars or different aspects that truly work for you. And I think for me, after spending 1,000 hours on this platform, like to truly become like I guess a good creator is like longevity because I've seen so many great creators on this platform. Most of them like write a lot better than me, a lot better experiences and whatever, but I've been here to like watch them rise and fall. So you need to have like reputation that's compounded through a long period of time. And it's about how you build out like consistency like while having like sustainable like models. So uh, I'm not like super far down the line just yet. I'm only like a year into my content journey, so I can't really say for a fact about like the long-term opportunities, but even like in short term, within a few months, I've been able to like gain so many internship opportunities and meet so many people, which we'll be diving into like later on as well.
Hmm. And in terms of like the content in general, like I remember previously we had like a couple conversations on what does it actually mean to like put out content because it looks like a lot of people, they're just copying each other, right? I know there are a few cases from yourself where other people have just basically copy and pasted the same exact post or just rewrote it like parts of it and just basically stole your entire post, right? Like, so in your experience, what do you think is actually even value?
I think value is if you're able to like impact one person, like one for me, as long as like one person changes or is inspired by my post, then I'll count it as like a win. Uh, in terms of what you say is like valuable content, it it varies between like what your target audience is as well as like what your intention on the platform is. So I think going back to like posting with purpose versus like posting blindly, you really just need to know like your end goal. I think content on LinkedIn is all content, which obviously like PG friendly and like follows all the guidelines, is good, but only if it caters to your target audience. Like for example, my when I post content about like specific content frameworks that work, it might not appeal to like people who are only seeking jobs if they're only seeking like entertainment on this platform. So, but it is super valuable to the people who are looking to find a system to kind of like plug and play their LinkedIn posts. And going back to your point about like originality and like stealing posts, like I think it's like 100% all right. Like because the entire point of personal branding is to uh take ideas and convey them in a way that is personal to you. Like I'm a firm believer that there is no original idea or like original like post framework on this platform. Like everything has been like repurposed, reused, and recycled. But what truly differentiates all of this like stuff is the experience in which you convey it, like the manner of how you convey it. Like me and Bosco could talk about the exact same thing. For example, we can talk about like marketing, but we both have very different backgrounds in marketing, and we have very different experiences, and therefore we would convey, even though it's the same idea, in very two different lenses. So I think that's the true value of like how you can take different ideas, take inspiration from others, but still find a way to make it original and like valuable to other people.
Mhm. Like during those days when like you feel stuck because everyone has those like writer's block often, like what do you find personally yourself which motivates you to get these ideas? Like do you have like a specific source, or do you like take a walk or something and ideas will come by?
I have like a few things I do. Like I usually try to keep a document full of like ideas. Like whenever I have ideas, I'll use voice type or I'll just like type it down, just like keep keep in track. Some days like I just cannot think, and that's like not something I could like just like snap and fix. But if my idea document is like empty, then I'll scroll on LinkedIn. I'll find things that inspire me, kind of like combine various posts, various ideas and themes, and try to like find one that resonates with me and how I can take this idea and like push it to my audience and hopefully it resonates with them as well. But if that doesn't work, then I'll usually like either go out for a walk if I can. I think doing some physical exercise or something to like sweat will kind of clear your brain a bit. And finally, if that doesn't work, then I will like go back to my old posts and find ways that I can like repurpose and like reframe like my previous content. Because yes, it may be the same idea, but on LinkedIn, since the reinforcement cycles of content are so short, posting about one topic multiple times is actually really beneficial to your own brand. For example, if I post once about consistency, I won't be known for consistency. But if I post about consistency like 100 times, all through like different lenses, and all these experiences and posts like funnel down to consistency, then people will like know my brand and know me and correlate me with like consistency. So you definitely need to have like repetition in order to build like a name for yourself.
Hmm. Yeah, it seems like the way to win these content games is just being consistent with putting out the same message over and over again, and just rewriting or revamping the message over time. So is there any tools that you use personally to like help you write, like specific AIs or something that you recommend?
For me, I have two. One is I use like Typa. Obviously, I work at Typa, so obviously I use Typa to help me draft my LinkedIn posts. I think that's one. I guess like later on this podcast, we'll talk a little bit more about like how I got into Typa, uh, what the product is and what we're doing. But that's like Typa in very short. It's just an AI content tool that writes like you. And I'm using the B2B side. I'm using the B2C side. Sorry, we are mainly like B2B towards agencies. But yeah, we'll get into that later. Right now it's Typa as well as Whisper Flow. I use Whisper Flow to like jot down ideas, just to like voice talk, and then I'll just put onto my doc, right? I'm a very like I like to talk to myself a lot, and I figure it's easier for me to express my ideas via like voice memos and like vocal messages. So I use that instead of like typing, and oftentimes I'm able to get to my point faster.
Yeah, cool. Do you also use some kind of like scheduling feature on like a
No,
separate? No, so just on LinkedIn.
no, Typa has scheduling and analytics, so I don't need it.
Damn. So yeah, like I'm still astonished with like how many people are getting into this whole like LinkedIn space. Yeah, like
Yeah,
with young kids.
I'm also pretty astonished, and I think that I don't know. I think I'm astonished, but I'm also like not astonished at the same time because I know that a lot of people are coming to the realization of like how important having a brand is online. Like, it doesn't even have to be LinkedIn, like it can be any social platform, but visibility is like so key these days. And that's also like one thing I've been pushing heavily on my page. Like, you just like gotta start, whether good or bad, whatever, you just have to get started because like there's no better time to start. And if you don't start now, then you're actually missing out on like a lot of stuff that can be life changing. So my page is a lot about uh like why you should get started. Like I push heavily the idea of the values of personal brand, pros, cons. There's actually like not many cons of a personal brand. It's like only pros. But as well as like stuff about my own life, and I hope to like mentor people, not just within LinkedIn and in real life as well. So that's kind of what my page has been about like recently. A lot of like giving back and mentorship.
Yeah, cool. I heard that you've been having lots of these discovery calls with young people who are also super inspired by yourself. William.
Yeah, yeah. So I've been getting my name's Wilman, but people would mistake it for William a decent amount, and that's like totally normal. But I don't know, it kind of pisses me off sometimes. But as Bosco was saying, yes, I do hop on a lot of calls with people because I think calls are the best way for me to change people's life. I think most of the people like know what they want to do, know what they're doing, but they just really need that like confirmation to like just do it. Like honestly, some of the calls are like not super informational. I just sit there, kind of listen to like what they're doing, what they're struggling with, and kind of give confirmation that like, guys, you guys are doing the right thing. Just believe in yourself. I believe in you, and you can just start. So like these very small nudges is often like what changes people's entire trajectory. But I have been very grateful to have hopped on calls with many amazing people. And these people have like some of them are like my students, some of them are like people who like mentor me, and other people are just peers and other creators very similar to me on LinkedIn. And it's very it's a very, very good feeling to to surround yourself with people who also have very big goals just like yourself and also see the potential of LinkedIn. So I think there's a reason why there's like so much hype, and I'm all for the personal branding hype.
Where do you think AI comes into play with this? Because, like AI has been expanding a lot. You're working on an AI project. Do we think AI can replicate authenticity to a certain extent when you just train the model, or?
Uh, no, I don't think AI will ever replace like content people or content writers. AI, in my opinion, is ways for us to, like cut down on unnecessary work and like streamline operations. Like for example, like my own workflow when it comes to like using AI or how I draft my LinkedIn posts, it usually starts with like an idea. I have this idea and I use Whisper and I open Typa and I'm like, hey, today I want to write the post with the intention of educating, uh, like inspiring, motivating, or like making people laugh, entertaining. So I always start off with the intention of the post. Then I talk about like my target audience, who it is, like specifically I want to talk to. Throughout time, like Typo will learn your like voice, learn your like ICP and like whatever. But this is for like everyone else's who's drafting their posts. You need to have a strong intention in mind, as well as always try to convey only one idea, because too many ideas it messes like the post up, and people find it too hard to take like one takeaway. So you always want to have like only one takeaway and find a way to attach your personal story to it. Like for example, everyone can say like, oh, never give up, but what makes never give up compelling is like the story in which you tell it, like things that you've experienced where you've kind of like never gave up and achieved great things. And these are all things that you need to draw in your personal aspects. So AI will never be able to replace that. But once you kind of like give it all this context and information, it will help you like structure your post, like from hook, body to call to action. And the way I do it once Type of structures it is I go back and edit it to fit my voice a little bit more. I like to add commentary. I believe no matter how good AI gets, it'll never truly replace my voice as a creator. So I always look through my posts once again and edit, but it does save a lot of time in terms of like structure generation.
So it's more about like the content itself moving forward because of the structure, like you'll know. So it's like going into like specific details, right, with particular stories. Is there like a certain vibe that you like to write in?
I like to write in lowercase a lot, and I think I've told a lot of people this is because lowercase, my audience is high school students and like early college students, Gen Z. So we are very used to like texting, and the fact that like lowercase kind of enhances that like authenticity because you feel like you're listening to like a text from your friend, reading a text from like someone who's not like of like authority. So I like to like stay more informal and casual in order to like uh hopefully be closer to my audience. So that's like a writing choice that I make to write. And I also like to use like oh like lol or like JK or like these very like what do you call them? Like abbreviations or like Gen Z slang, I would say, in order to make it feel more like friendly. So my grammar is like not good at all in my texts or in my posts. Uh, I can't really spell that well, and I have very often like I find spelling mistakes like a week after I published the post, and I was like, wow, how did I not catch this? But I think that's also like one part of authenticity that I don't think too much about, uh, like the post, and I just try to convey like one solid message. So I think at the end of the day, each person has their own like stylistic choices, and over time, it does build up into a brand. Like people like know me for like writing and like lowercase. Obviously now I've like pivoted into both lowercase and uppercase for various reasons. But yeah, I think like, lowercase is like obviously a very big thing when it comes to like my content in the very initial stages.
Yeah, super cool. Can you debunk this myth? Does LinkedIn get you rizz?
Oh well, of course not. Like, dude, if it did, I'd probably be spending 2,000 hours on this platform. No, I'm joking, but LinkedIn did not help in any sort of way. I mean, like pre-professional Riz, of course, like it brought me so many like, uh, I guess quote unquote attracted so many opportunities and internships to me. But yeah, no, LinkedIn gives you like negative Riz in person. I feel like it's like
Negative rizz?
imagine like going up to people on a day and be like, I just like scroll and write stuff on LinkedIn. I feel like that's like not the best thing to say, but I don't know. I don't. Yeah. Speaking from my own experience, no riz on LinkedIn.
Mhm. I feel also at a certain point we also get like in the beginning we get assessed with the numbers. Right? I'm pretty sure like when you I don't know when you got like 5,000 followers, 10,000 followers, you're like, yes. But then like when was it
Yeah.
around to the point when you're like, yeah, it's just like, another 1,000 followers. It doesn't really matter anymore. Do you remember?
Yeah. Dude, honestly, like great question. I think this is super important to all the creators out there who are starting and like will be starting soon, hopefully. If you listen to this podcast, if you haven't started, then I highly encourage you to start. And like you'll hear a long list of reasons why, but or hopefully you've already gotten to the importance of it from what I've said before. But I think at the very start of LinkedIn, I chased numbers a lot. Like I think numbers feel like a very strong metric of success to me back then. And I think hitting certain numbers allowed me to be like, yes, I've achieved this like milestone. And I feel like I've like quote unquote like made it somehow. But after posting for a while and like after hitting like 10K and hitting post about like 100K, 500K, like impressions, followers, engagement, whatever going up, I think it gets a certain point where I don't feel anything. And I think that point was 10K. Like I feel like 10K is a number, especially within the young entrepreneurial Gen Z space, is very special. Like 10K followers on Instagram is like your barrier entry. Like oh like as like to be established as a creator, like 10K a month is something that a lot of people dream of like achieving as well. Like whatever it means. So to me, after hitting 10K, I realized that like when I hit 11K, I didn't feel any happier. Like there is no sense of fulfillment, and I kind of burnt out there. So when I like continued pushing forward, it was crazy, crazy hard. So I had to take a step backwards and actually find like the reason why I was posting on LinkedIn. So before anybody posts on LinkedIn, I think the best way to have longevity is to find the intrinsic reason to post. Intrinsic as in if money didn't matter, if views didn't matter, like would you still be doing this? And if I was at 0 followers, I'd be still doing the exact same thing I'm doing today. So my intrinsic reason of posting on LinkedIn nowadays is to educate and mentor, to inspire people to start content, to tell them that it's not that hard, like that there is like essentially guaranteed success if you put enough time and effort into it. I think this applies to everything. But to show people that social media is not like super, super hard to achieve success in. I think it's easier than people think, but my intrinsic reason, I feel so much happiness when I mentor students, when I see them succeed, get opportunities, uh, and just be a lot more confident in themselves and posting. Like that is something that like no amount of followers can like buy. If I was like at 10 mil, I'm sure I wouldn't feel the same amount of happiness I see from like actually having a tangible impact. So for everyone listening, before you start, find a reason internally to post, or else you will not be consistent. You will not have longevity, and ultimately, you will not be a good creator as well.
Yeah, really well said, woman. And I was just wondering, like, especially, like we always talk about like the Asian parents and how they put lots of stress to, us children on, school and everything. It's probably been oversaid a lot. But, since we're both from Hong Kong, you're also from Hong Kong, right? If I remember right.
Yeah,
Or Taiwan. Yeah, you're from Hong
I'm
Kong
from
and you
Hong
live in
Kong.
Taiwan. And since we're both from, yeah, how did your childhood look like?
Uh, very, very grateful that my childhood was, I didn't have any crazy trauma. I'm very super grateful to be raised in like a peaceful household with two very loving parents, who love each other as well as they love me very much as well, and my a younger brother. And I think they were very good parents, and I'm very grateful that they raised me as a person I am today into someone who has integrity and a strong set of moral values, someone who like values their friends. So I think a lot of these things do transfer to the stuff that I'm doing right now. I think being a good human being does so much more than you think. Like just on LinkedIn and in general, like the amount of people who have no manners, they are super like rude is like super, super common. And I think just by being a good person, you'll naturally attract people who are also very similar to you. And it will just like help you a lot in life. So in terms of like Asian household, I'm like super, super grateful and happy like that I was raised the way that I was, and I wouldn't like ask for it any other way. And I think you also might want to touch on the fact that like yes, Asian households are like notoriously known to like put great academic stress. Like, what do my parents think of like this LinkedIn stuff? Well, I would say like I let the results speak for themselves. At the very start, I was also super scared because didn't have any results to prove that this was like actually a thing. But I think my parents are like, I didn't have to pay for anything for my SF trip. I got like flown out, everything covered. They were like, okay, so I guess like this thing like does work to a certain degree. And if they see that I'm super happy and healthy doing this thing, they'll let me continue doing it in peace. And I think I'm very grateful to have them support my journey as well. My dad does read my LinkedIn posts, so it's we don't talk about it in the household. It's like not a thing, but I know that he reads and likes all of them.
Cool thing. Now, how was your SF trip? I remember you said it was pretty boring. Like it's December, but how was it? How was your first experience there in the U.S. in SF?
Uh, to give you guys a little bit of like context, me and Bosco are like we met a while ago, like a year ago, and then since then we've been on and off like chatting. I visited Hong Kong and I met him. So like this SF thing was where I went to SF. I got flown out by a company called Typa, and Typa is the tool that I use, and we're the company that develops like LinkedIn content creation tools. And they flew me out this winter for 3 weeks to help them with growth. So my housing was covered. I lived in on the couch for 3 weeks. It was a wonderful experience. It wasn't actually that bad. I slept pretty well, except my other intern who was there like snored really loudly. Daniel, if you're watching this, just know that I'm so glad to be home and not listening to your snoring anymore. But yeah, I got flown out to SF to do growth work, and all of this was because I had a very solid track record on LinkedIn, right? As someone who's applying to roles in growth, marketing, uh, the most concrete proof you can have is that you've scaled your own personal brand, right? It's like just complete evidence that you can scale something else. Like when people claim that, oh, like they're good at marketing, like you really just need proof. And for me, like my personal brand allowed me so that the founder had already seen my content before I even met him, and he's like, "Damn, I know this guy's like credible." So when I actually got introed by like a friend, he was like, "Yeah, you're credible. No interview, no resume needed. Let's just like talk, and like we'll fly you out." So like content creates so much trust, and it kind of like pre-sells yourself in a way, so you don't have to like hard pitch yourself. So but that's kind of like a little bit of context on how I got to Typo, how I got to SF. But in SF, yeah, it was low-key kind of boring. uh Everyone in SF is kind of on vacation, uh or like they're back in their home countries, they're back home wherever, and there was not a lot of events, uh not a lot of like people that were there. A lot of people that I wanted to meet were out of country, like back home in Asia, I guess, which is super ironic because I literally flew out just like leave Asia. But it was, I worked in office basically every single day, did my college apps, and wrote a lot of content, did a lot of strategies. So working within a startup allows for a lot of autonomy. So I had the opportunity to like brainstorm and try a lot of different things. So it was like super, super cool. And I think when you have such a strong passion for content creation and this growth startup stuff, like working doesn't really feel like work. You feel like you're gaining a lot internally in terms of skills. And there's no better feeling than working with other people who are also passionate and share the same drive as you do. So we were there for Christmas, we were there for New Year's Eve, we were there for New Year's, and it was a super fun time.
Yeah, super cool. I just want you to tell me more about like your experience working in Typa versus I also saw you did like an internship in KPGM, I think it's called.
KPMG.
Yeah, KPMG. It's like obviously one is corporate, one is startup, but is the corporate really that bad and is the startup really like, that glazed like since you've worked in both of them?
I think both have their own perks. For it really depends on the type of person you are, and I did intern at KPMG this summer via a school program. Otherwise, I would not have gotten the opportunity to work in corporate. So, and to be completely transparent, like I didn't really do a lot in corporate that I felt was like super like mentally intriguing. A lot of it was like PowerPointing, uh, creating like research documents, like transcribing, translating, whatever, for podcasts, for like blogs. And at the end of the day, it was also because I am a high schooler, so obviously within such a big company, I obviously would not have such a big role. And it was not just me, like the other college intern, he just graduated college. He was basically doing the same thing I was doing as well. So when I looked at him, I didn't really see myself doing this my entire life, and I felt like it would not be fun for me to continue. Like imagine if you're doing the same thing in high school and after like a 4 year bachelor's degree, like wouldn't that just mean your degree is like absolutely useless? Like I don't think degrees are useless, but I'm just saying in corporate you are very discardable. But in startups, you have a lot of like free will to try different things. Uh, and everything's very uncertain. Corporate is very structured, and it's for people who like structure, routine, just like solving problems as like per logic and standard. And for startups, it's much more like I get the opportunity to try things out. Like 50% or more, I would fail, but I get to learn so much more from these failures, and experience so much more like intrinsic joy. So I think that's why I like chose to work at a startup after. It's mainly just because startups align with a lot with what I want to do and the type of person I am as well.
Yeah, definitely. Speaking more about like your experience in Typa, obviously like on LinkedIn and on these social platforms, there are lots of like these stereotypes of like what startup life is supposed to look like. Are there anything in particular which is kind of like a myth or like something that is really like is really popular, but then it's actually not true and you realize that, it's just completely the opposite?
Yeah. Interning for a YC company is not as hard as you think. I think a lot of high school students like glorify YC. Like YC is very great. Don't get me wrong. It's one of the best accelerators in the world, if not the best. Uh, and all the founders there are super driven, super cracked, and push at an incredibly fast pace. But just because of that, I think a lot of people put themselves a lot lower than YC, if that makes sense, and they don't see themselves on equal footing, even though they have equal skills. So I would say for people who want to get a YC internship or work with people at YC, like don't let the brand name deter you too much. If you feel like you have the skill, then just reach out, right? I think as long as you're able to provide enough value, uh, then you're actually good to go. So that's like one myth I think a lot of people need to hear, that it's actually not that hard to land an internship at a YC company. So because a lot of high schoolers have asked me like, "Oh, YC is like so prestigious. Like, how'd you do it?" And I was like, I didn't have a crazy stacked resume. Like the only thing on my resume was like basically LinkedIn, and LinkedIn high key just like carried my way into working with these people. And like once you work with one person, you auto get the network to work with like many other people.
Yeah, that's interesting. Haven't actually thought of that before.
Yeah, barriers to entry is not that high.
Especially this day and age, yeah. But it's just about
Yeah,
finding the right thing for you, I'm pretty sure. Like there's so many
yeah,
opportunities out there, but then which one are you gonna go for? It's just
yeah. I think that's a great point. Like because LinkedIn, I'm a LinkedIn content creator, and Typa is also a tool to empower LinkedIn content creators. So I was like the perfect fit as someone who can speak on behalf of the consumer and also do the marketing stuff. So you also have to find a good fit for you. If I apply to like some software company, I'll just get rejected straight out because I have no software experience. So it really comes down to finding your perfect fit for your skill set.
Mhm. What was the beginning vision when you got started in general? Is to just get connections, right? But then slowly afterwards, that led to like multiple different places that you couldn't imagine. Like you wouldn't imagine yourself being like co-founder of Typa.
Uh, I think when it comes to like content specifically, there's no like solid roadmap that you can ever have. Like when I started, it was one step at a time, find one person and find another person the next day. Like it's very much like boring stuff. But as I grew, like I just had the vision for my next step. I think no one really knows where they're going. Like right now, I don't know where I want to be like a year, 2 years down the line. I have like very general goals, but I think right now I'm still planning stuff for the next week. So honestly, it's like one step at a time. And the best thing you can do is like be comfortable with like change. Uh, People are usually too set on like one goal, and when things tend to get hard or things just like intrinsically don't fit, they find it super hard to pivot because that kind of means like failure to them in a sense where they're not achieving their goal. But I actually think changing your goals multiple times is a very good sign that you're learning and adapting.
Mhm. Expanding more on that concept of change, obviously resistance is something really hard, especially for basically everyone, like no matter what age you are. Are there specific processes or strategies that you personally use when you adapt to these changes? Like, do you take like a day off and then you like clear your mind, or is there like something that you do in general, like a routine?
Mm, Change wise, I think my concept is always like baby steps. I am not a person that can change very fast. And it takes like many small steps for me in order to change. So I can give an example of like changing from like not posting to posting a little bit. There are very small steps that I followed. So I knew that I'd be too scared to like just straight off the bat post 7 days a week and do commenting like from zero to like 100. That's like for me that's not possible. So I was like I understood the fact that confidence is backed by data, and the more repetitions you do something, the more confident you get because you have data that it works, and like you know yourself, so it reinforces your behavior. So I started off super small, started off by messaging one person on LinkedIn each day, and then once I got kind of comfortable with that, comfortable being rejected, I moved on to maybe commenting on people's posts once or twice a day. And after doing that, I would try like maybe 10 comments a day. And then maybe in a week or two, I'll do it as like one post a week. And then slowly ramp up to two posts, three posts. And when I feel like it's a little bit too hard, I just like held back a little bit and kind of just did it for a little bit longer before I got more comfortable and then started increasing it. Because I think when you jump too suddenly, like that huge change will often like mess you up. And then you'll be like, oh, I can't do this. And then you'll just instantly quit because you feel like it's like too much for you. So slowly ramping up the intensity of content is a very important skill to have. But it's also very hard to have because everyone wants to obviously like new year, new me, go out with like a, oh, 7 days a week for the rest of the year. Everyone wants like start at the top, but the reality is you have to start from the very bottom and slowly crawl your way up.
Yeah, I think I'm personally pretty guilty of that as well. Like when you have a new year and you're like, you want to start with a banger, but then you realize
Yeah.
that you have the fire there, but then it's not like a consistent fire. How does your schedule look like in general? Like, do you use like Google Calendars, or how do you operate your day in general?
Yeah, I use Notion Calendar. I personally think the UI is better than Google Calendar. I'm sorry, Google. I just like Notion Calendar better. Uh, and to be honest, I'm not the best planner. Uh, I often have issues with like time management and stuff, and I spend too much time on one thing. And once that kind of snowballs, it kind of ruins the rest of my day, with the rest of my week, and potentially even like rest of the month. So right now, I'm trying my best to uh, schedule more things, like schedule like blocks and chunks where I just need to log in on LinkedIn and finish the post for today. And then I can go do my homework and whatever. And I think, yeah, I'm really bad at scheduling. So that's like one thing that I think I have like no right to speak on whatsoever because I just cannot schedule well. Like I sometimes am too desperate. I just want to achieve something, so I'll take calls at like 2 or 3 in the morning, and that just ruins my schedule absolutely. But yeah, I just don't think I can give good advice or be a good person to talk to in terms of like scheduling because of how messed up my schedule is.
Hmm. Yeah, that's interesting. I think in the beginning I was also something like that, but then yeah, I mean, for me, I love using like Google Calendar, like like the color coding and things like that. It makes it look organized. So maybe I can show you afterwards as well on how that looks.
Yeah. Bosco's the guy to go to when you want to go to like scheduling all these like tools. When we started working on, I guess, like we had a project when we very first met, and that was kind of where he kind of put me into like the startup scene. I've never been in like working with a team before, and I looked at his calendar. I'm like, whoa, that's crazy. Like I had like no calendar whatsoever back then, and I was like, dude, let's hop on a call. And I messaged him at like 3 in the morning, and then he's like, the next morning he was like, guys, I went to sleep at like 8 p.m. So if you want like discipline, you want schedule, like Bosco is definitely the person to go to because
Oh
I
my
I
days.
didn't understand how you could be sleeping at 8 p.m. I was like, that's crazy.
What time do you sleep now? I mean, I've like my schedule. Like I sleep way like slightly later, like 10 or 11.
I thought like my first week back was like fine. I slept at like 9 because I had jet lag. So I wake up at like 3 or 4 a.m. each day. But like, dude, it fluctuates like so badly. I can sleep at like 6 p.m., wake up at like 12, or I go sleep at like 2 a.m. and wake up at like 7. So it always depends, and I don't have a good routine.
Does posting on LinkedIn give you like energy, like afterwards?
What would you say? Could you repeat that?
Yeah. Does posting on LinkedIn give you energy? Like, have you ever felt like, yes, I made a post, like after you finish making the post?
Yeah. Uh, Sometimes I just like dread posting because I'm like, guys, I don't have like the idea today. Like, what do I post? I don't want to post like a sloppy post, but I kind of force myself to like write something good. So I feel very relieved once I press the publish button and I'm just like, close the platform. I'm done. I'm out. See you guys tomorrow. So it it definitely does give me like it's kind of like for other people it's kind of like hitting at the gym as like a milestone in a day. Like for me, it's just like posting on LinkedIn.
Yeah. Tell us more about Tapa, Typa.
Yeah, so Typa is we are a content like management software. Uh, the problem we identified was that like many ghostwriting agencies were using like way too many tools, right? They're using like Taplio for analytics, I think for scheduling as well, and like various other platforms like Notebook LLM, Notion, Google Docs, Claude, GPT, and various tools. And it really increased the time it took for a copywriter to like go through this entire process. And for Typo, we aim to combine everything into one streamlined platform where the copywriter and the agency can access the founder's account. Many people can like, access it all at once. We have like live time editing stuff, but in essence, we want to make it so that one copywriter can increase their output by like 1.5 to 2x because they won't have to switch between things. Everyone will have like one consolidated workplace to track analytics, scheduling, and people who are doing management can also like track the progress and have everything on one piece of software. So we are doing like B2B at the moment, and we also have bits and pieces of B2C, which will be coming out soon on my page.
Mm, yeah. So all-in-one software. What are some of the USPs like compared to other companies which provide something similar?
There is not like other company which like provides like the same thing that we do. Like not in the sense where like obviously a lot of other companies have the same like functions, but we just have it all into like one. Like for example, like some software you can have analytics and scheduling, but those don't provide the fact that you get like live time tracking of the post. You can't write the post on those analytics softwares, and not multiple people can access it all at the same time. And especially we have like a few tools, like one, like the most notable one is called like sessions, where ghostwriters and content teams will put in questions and our AI will automatically call the founder or like whoever you're ghostwriting for. And this makes so that like if you have good questions, like a 40-minute session from the founder will give you enough material to write for like an entire week. And this time zone does not matter because the AI just automatically calls the founder. So we make things like this a lot easier because most like a lot of agencies are actually based in like Asia and like Europe. So and most of the founders are in the US. So the time difference does make it a little bit hard for them to like schedule meetings and whatnot. And oftentimes founders also feel much more comfortable talking to themselves because they won't have to like bother other people with like time. They have more time to think to themselves and they often can express more like vulnerable ideas. So that's like another thing.
Oh, yeah. So it's like an AI to you like speaking tool.
Yeah, that's one function. It's just like we get our AI agent to call the founder and the founder answers questions. We prompt out further questions, and that's kind of like a week's worth of content.
Yeah, super cool. For like aspiring creators, is there like are you guys planning to also make like a separate plan for like I don't know, like younger entrepreneurs who are just starting out
Yeah,
LinkedIn accessible to them as well?
yeah, I would say I'm actually a very strong believer that when you first start off LinkedIn, you should not use AI tools. Like, uh, AI tools should be like used once you kind of have like established idea of what you're doing. Uh, because when you start off with AI tools, you kind of be too reliant on AI for the strategy, and the content. And at the end of the day, the AI tool is only as good as the person who is using it. So I'd recommend if you're just starting out, please don't use any sort of AI. Just do it yourself, understand it. And once you kind of get that going, then you can hop onto AI and streamline the process because you truly understand it now. But we are releasing like a B2C version. Uh, should be coming out in like beta is coming out in like a week or two. Like I'm releasing it to like 20, 30 of my creator friends and people I know just to test it out. And then we'll have like official launch hopefully, fingers crossed, in the middle, like in mid-February probably.
Yeah. Sounds super exciting. Definitely keep us updated here, Wilman. And just to wrap everything up in general, what are some of your proudest moments like from your high school career aside from LinkedIn?
Oh wow, wow. I did not think that this was going to be a question on here, so I have to think for a little bit. But
Yeah.
mm, I mean, besides doing LinkedIn in high school, I also did like robotics. So like traveling with my team to Worlds was also a really, really fun experience. I think truly like all my, I didn't do any activities outside school. I just did LinkedIn, and LinkedIn gave me all my opportunities and whatever. But school is definitely a great way to keep me grounded. Like I wrote about this in a post recently, but my best friend has like no clue what LinkedIn is, nor does she like know I post on LinkedIn. So the friends I develop at school is a great way to keep me off LinkedIn, to keep me grounded, as like a person in general. And I think for everyone who's doing content or who's getting followers, like don't like ditch your day ones. Like that's like really not how it works. People who are from day one have been supporting you as a person, not who you are online. And the people who like know you in person, like know you a lot better than the people who know you online. So don't ever like drop your day ones, and keep on updating them, keep on like supporting them just like they supported you. And yeah, I think one of the cheat codes within being a creator is also having friends who are not creators, because it really keeps you like humble and down to earth. So I've been very blessed to have amazing friends as well.
Yeah, super wise words there. Have you ever felt like during high school years living two different lives? Because I've always felt that way. Like ever since like at least like the beginning, like well, freshman year, like starting out YouTube projects and things like that is like it's just like you're living in two different worlds. Like in the morning you're going to school and then in the afternoon you're working on something completely different.
Uh, I guess kinda. It's not like I'm living two separate lives, but it's just like people at school have a hard time understanding what I do, and like that's completely fine because I also have a hard time understanding why I do it sometimes as well. So I just don't really think about it much. I try to enjoy whatever school offers, and once school is over, then I just pivot into like my quote unquote like LinkedIn mode, I guess. But at school, I'm just your very normal person, and on LinkedIn, I'm just also your very normal person who has so happened to uh shown up and been himself every single day. Not every single day. Like I've posted around like 250 days out of 360. So I was like two-thirds, but it has still gotten me very, very far just by being your average person.
Damn, you also counted the days, which is really cool.
Now, Typa has like a GitHub
What are
thing. It's
some
like
future?
it counts like how many days you post out of the year. So I have like my GitHub version, but for content.
Oh damn, yeah, definitely check that out later on. So just closing everything here, like what are some future aspirations that you have? Like let's just say 5 years down the line, like this Wilman, your older Wilman, looks back into this podcast. What would you say to them?
Uh, yeah. So I think to wrap things up, like my voice is like this is like actually my like third hour of calls. I had like two calls earlier during like my free period at school, and then I had like an hour coffee chat before this. So my voice is getting a little bit cooked, but I think there's two things. One would be like my final piece of advice, and second would be probably where I hope to see myself in like 5 years. Or uh in terms of the first thing, advice to like anyone, like get started. Like there's no time. The best time is like 10 years ago, and the second best time is right now. So take advantage of the resources that you have right now. Uh, this is so accessible, personal branding especially. And if you don't take advantage of it right now, then there's a very big chance that it'll be a lot harder in the future when a lot more people start doing it. So definitely it is like first come, first serve in terms of like audience as well. Uh, and I would say like honestly, my best piece of advice is to not take advice from other people. Like, it sounds super counterintuitive, but I was talking to this girl on a call and she was like, what is the number one advice you have? And I'm like, the number one advice you have is to learn when to say no to advice. Because at the end of the day, everything I've said through this podcast stems from my own personal experience. And like, for me, I have strong views because of the experiences that I've had, but everyone is different. Everyone learns different. Everyone experiences things different. Everyone has different aspirations. So always take things with a grain of salt and only implement things that you know work for you, because what works for me might not work for you. And so, yeah, like learn to filter out advice and follow your own gut, because that's what I did and I got here. I would say for a year of being on this platform, I've done pretty well. So that is the biggest piece of advice I would say to anyone out there, because LinkedIn is very about like thought leadership and giving advice. But when there's so much advice, you need to know like how to stop taking at a certain point. So that's the first thing. Second thing was where I hope to see myself in, let's say, like a year. Okay, I don't think that far just yet, or I haven't thought that far just yet. But within the next year or so, I would like to continue growing my LinkedIn audience. Right now, I've hit a point where I'm like, its growth has been linear so far, and I want to make it exponential very soon. So like laying the groundwork in these few months, finding the right like systems where I can produce like volume, but keep it under like quality as well, like keep quality in there. I hope to do more like podcast interviews and just try to help as many people as possible, whether it be through like my newsletter and Discord server, which I'm starting very soon. And for those of you who actually like know me from OG days, you know that I'm like a chronically online Discord mod as well. So going back to the roots right there. But yeah, I think this year is going to be heavily focused on mentorship as well as like scaling a system that works for me in a sustainable manner. Because right now I spend too much time on this platform and I would like to spend less time, but still achieve the same results. So end of the year goal is not quantified by followers, not quantified by like impressions or whatever, but be quantified by how like how smooth my LinkedIn creation system is, as well as how many people I'm able to like impact.
Awesome. And by the end of this year, we're going to be both in college, so it's going to be super exciting. Like it's like a start of a new chapter. People say it's going to be the most exciting, most fun time of your life. So can't wait to see
Indeed.
where you go, Wilman. So best of luck to all of the things that you're doing, all of the content and everything.
Yeah, for
Can't wait
sure.
to see.
Thank you so much for bringing me on the podcast as well. Like this is like my first time on any sort of like pod or interview, so very happy that I'm here today.
First of many.
Yes, indeed.
All right. Thank you guys for all tuning in. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.
See ya.